Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for checking this out today. I do want to just put out a real quick apology. Usually I try to get these videos out earlier in the week, usually Tuesday or Wednesday. Of course, we are sitting here Thursday afternoon. Sometimes just life gets in the way. And for me, for this week, it's been kind of an emotional week, a tough one for me. It's definitely taken a little bit out of me this week. And quite honestly, I just don't even feel like I have the energy to do this today. But there's so much good hockey to talk about. I didn't want to skip over it. But yeah, just one of these weeks where, you have to say goodbye to a friend. Sometimes you have to exit out of certain friendships, certain relationships as life goes on, just for your own, personal health, personal well-being. And this friend in particular was someone who was more than a friend at one point. Could have been much more than a friend had things broken a certain way. But a friend who was in my life a long time ago, kind of roared back into my life this year, earlier on, and it's now exactly back out of my life. And tough, not fun. But again, you have to make those decisions sometimes to just put yourself on the right, emotional track. And hockey hasn't been maybe front of mind this week as it normally is for me. But again, as I say, so much good hockey to talk about here in the Bruins organization. Did not want to skip over this week. But I will say today probably won't have the same level of detail that I normally provide, especially on the Maine Mariners front. So probably be a little bit shorter, but let's dive in, guys. Starting with the Maine Mariners, and what a amazing weekend for our Maine Mariners, winning 3 games out of 3 against the Worcester Railers. Of course, one game Friday night here in Portland, the other 2 down in Worcester. I was lucky enough to be on the call with Mike Keeley Friday night as his color analyst, and I think it was the third period I kind of used the term lifeless to describe Worcester. I mean, that was one of the most lifeless teams I have seen in a long time. Not sure if it's just the group that they have. Not sure if it's something more organizationally within the Islanders system. We know what happened to Bridgeport under Coach Kowalski last season, how bad that team was. They may have some depth issues within their system for sure. I think that's not really a surprise. But, Maine just took it to them all weekend. I think we outscored them, was it like 16-3? And I don't have it in front of me right now, but just a phenomenal weekend. I expected a little more pushback and fight from Worcester, who's been down so much this year, coming in to play their big rival. You expect a little bit more pushback, and Maine just did kind of whatever they wanted to do all weekend. Like, Worcester had no answer. Absolutely no answer. And of course, a big congrats to forward Brooklyn Kalmikov being named ECHL Player of the Week this week. 6 points on the weekend. Well deserved. Yeah, he's got the American League contract. He's been playing down here with Maine. And the Mariners are definitely the beneficiary of that. But great to see the league recognizing his performance. Was just awesome to see. Of course, they do have 2 games coming up at Wheeling this weekend. That's Friday and Saturday nights. Wheeling sitting 7-1, 14 points. So I do think we're going to get a little pushback here. I think it's going to be a couple really good games and a good test for both of these clubs coming in. Looking at the Maine Mariners, let's just take a look. We've got 3 players right now in the top 10 in scoring across the league. Of course, Kalmikov sitting at number 2 with 4 goals, 12 assists for 16 points. He's sitting just 1 point behind Iowa's Jackson Nelson, who has 9 goals and 8 assists for 17 points. But sitting not too far down here, you have got Max Andreev with 13 points, 5 goals and 8 assists. And then Jacob Perreault, 5 goals and 8 assists as well with those 13 points. So 3 players in the top 10. Awesome to see. And I do think we're just 1 game away from forward Sean Element having that suspension behind him. So I don't believe he plays Friday. I think it's Saturday, if my math is correct. So he's just going to be a great addition, because the team been dealing with some injuries, of course. And just great to see some early hurdles and how the team has cleared them, again, with some of these injuries, with a suspension. And they've been able to really battle through that and play really, really good hockey, having to call on some depth pieces, Rick Kowalski's had to sign some guys, make a couple trades here and there, and it's just all working. It's just all working right now. A different energy and a different culture, I think, that has been set. Again, we talked about that on Friday night, just how the culture is just different and it's undeniable. As much as Coach Wallen did a lot of great things here, and I think we all really like Wally. We're proud of him and happy to see what he's doing at Lehigh Valley. This is different. And I just think it is, Kowalski's experience. I think the fact he's been an NHL guy, years in the American League, he's bringing a different level of expertise. And when you think about it, you just think about it for a second. Marco Sturm, the Boston Bruins coach, was in Ontario last year in the American League. And now you have Coach Kowalski, who was at the same level, head coach in the American League. And now they're both in this organization, obviously on different ends of it, right? But we've got an NHL caliber coach running this club, and I don't think that should be lost on any of us. And what a difference it's making for the group. So, great start. We did not have a bad, October, early November like we've had in years past, and the team is really, set up well, sitting, of course, in first place in that North Division. Let's just take a quick peek at that, guys. Of course, you have your Mariners with 16 points through 10 games. Wheeling only 8 games played with 14 points, 7-1. Reading right there with 13 points sitting. Third, 6-2-1 for Reading. And those Worcester Railers, 1-7-0-1, 3 points. Just a god-awful start for them. But the good doesn't stop there. Holy smokes, the Providence Bruins, guys, 11-1, 22 points. I don't talk a lot of Providence on this channel. We kind of keep it to our home team here in Maine, but my goodness, guys, these guys are just playing lights out right now. And we'll go over some of the leading scores here. Riley Tufte and Patrick Brown both leading the way with 15 points apiece. Blue Mel with 12 points. Lysell with a game winner last night, a 3-2 overtime win there. Lysell getting the goal. He's got 11 points. Merkeloff with 11 points. Steves, of course, with 8. He, of course, is up with the Bruins right now. Matty Patra with 7 points. So you're getting good production from a lot of different players. Just awesome to see. And an absolutely huge congratulations to our play-by-play man, Mike Keeley. Got the call up last night to go be on the broadcast there in Providence. First time for him being calling on American League games. So big congrats to Mike. Well deserved. Really proud of him. Guys, he's another one. He's not going to be here forever. He's way too talented to be in the ECHL, and just really excited for him, and hope we see more of that for him. Certainly think we will. So, great to see that there. But yeah, you've got these 2 minor league systems here for your Bruins, just kicking some ass right now, and it's really nice to see. I'd put money on it that this is probably the most successful, 3-team, kind of organizationally, in the league right now. I'd have to do some homework on that to really see, but I think that we're right at the top of that list. So, and you do have to just kind of tip your cap a little bit here to Don Sweeney. I know some Bruins fans don't want to do that. Him and Evan Gold and the work their team has done. Think about how they've reset this organization. It had to happen, right? It had to happen. We've had so many years of going all in, going for it, trading those first-round draft picks. And now the last couple of years, they've had to do some reassessing. We're going to talk about the Bruins in a second, but think about the Mitten Carlo trade and how that played out here recently, just over the last couple of games here in Boston. They've just done some great work, and things are paying off. So really, really good to see that. Again, great to see Mike on the call last night. And you've got 2 really awesome starts here for both minor league clubs here for the Boston Bruins. Now let's turn to those Boston Bruins 7-game winning streak. Holy bleep. I did not expect to be saying those words this year with this group. But man, they're playing some really, really good hockey right now. 11-7 on the year, 22 points. They right now have the longest winning streak in the NHL. Anaheim had a 7-game winning streak that was just snapped. But yeah, awesome to see. And look at how it played out in those last couple games against Toronto. Very little pushback from the Maple Leafs. It was similar scores in both of those games. I just I keep yeah, I think every year I think everybody in the NHL expects Toronto to do something. They expect them to be better. And when you look at just where their defense is at, I mean, that is some soft defense they're playing out there. And that's with the addition of Carlo, who, at times here in Boston was a very good defenseman, a steady Eddie out there oftentimes. But structurally, their defense is just awful. Their goaltending, of course, we know Wall is still out. He's working his way back. But Boston really took advantage of just really soft defense in these last couple of games. You do give up the shorthanded goal. You don't like to see that in that last one. But I just, from a big picture perspective, Marco Sturm has got these boys dialed in. They are buying into the system. They're buying in defensively. They're buying into the structure that Sturmy wants to play. We've talked about it already on this channel that Sturm understands. He knows that the Bruins are not the most talented club. In terms of their elite players, they are what they are. They have to play a certain way to win, and they're doing that. And I think, not to go unnoticed, Steve Spott, the assistant coach, and what he has done with this power play has been phenomenal. I mean, it's been a couple of years since we've been able to see a really good power play for the Bruins. I mean, they've had over the years just really poor entries into the ozone, not getting enough shots, just trying to make that perfect play instead of the simple play. And now you're seeing an offense on the power play get into the neutral zone with speed, with consistency, and immediately getting to shots, getting into their structure, moving the puck around, zipping it around. That's all Steve Spott and what he's brought to the table here. I don't know what Monty was doing and the coaching staff was doing back a couple of years ago, but it just looks different. It looks like the players are really buying in, and they're doing it. They're doing it. And the thing I like, and the thing that I think has really played out here, is that physical play that Boston has, and we go back to the Tanner Jeannot signing. A lot of people weren't real happy with that signing, with the term, with the money, and the fact that a lot of people said, well, Jeannot's just a repeated asset. We already have Zadorov. We already have Kastelik. We already have guys who play that style. But when you see it play out the last couple of games against Toronto, you've got 3, 4, 5 guys. VL, you've got Kastelik, you got Zadorov, you got Jeannot. You have big bodies and guys that play a physical brand. Toronto has none of those guys. They don't have a single one that's going to step up and try to fight. Yeah, Domi, he did what he did, kind of a dumb penalty on him. But I would just say this: if you're not going to be an elite goal scoring team, you'll be good at something. If you're the Boston Bruins, and right now I think you're seeing they're a good physical playing team. They're playing with good defensive structure, and they're getting a lot more goal scoring than I think any of us expected. So that's really, really great to see that. Love it. We'll see how long they can keep this run going. They got Ottawa up in Ottawa tonight. Of course, they've beat them at the Garden recently, but it was that bloodbath they took in Ottawa a couple weeks back. So returning to the scene of the crime, Ottawa 8-5-4 with 20 points, sitting right behind Boston and Montreal in third place. So an important game here early on in the season. And let us not forget David Pastrnak, 400th goal. Awesome to see that. Big accomplishment there. He got 401 in the same game. 29 years old, man. He's got a lot of runway to do a lot more of this in a Boston Bruins uniform. Love it, love it, love it. And I'm just going to make a comment here. I did not understand the negativity and the flack that the team caught by clearing the bench and having a little celebratory moment with Pasta after that 400th goal. There were a lot of negative voices out there saying, it's ridiculous. They shouldn't have to celebrate just someone scoring a goal like that. It's a big accomplishment. Like, when did it become not okay to celebrate a milestone like that? Yeah, 500 is bigger for sure, but 400 is really significant. I have no problem with the Bruins taking a minute or 45 seconds to celebrate that. I think it was well deserved. I would have been surprised had they not. But guys, this is hockey. Let's have fun. All right. Let's not take it so seriously. That just really surprised me, really caught me off guard. But talking about scoring here early on, you got Pasta with 22 points. You got Geeky with 15, Zaka with 15, McAvoy with 14. So you're getting really good production from the guys you need to get it from. And you're doing this without Lindholm being hurt. And now Middlestat, is out as well. Middlestat was one that, let's see, I think he's got 9 points. All right, so playing pretty good hockey. Weren't really sure what we were going to get out of him, but he's looked good. So you're doing this without two of your top six forwards, and getting enough depth, scoring there. So awesome to see. We'll see what we see tonight in Ottawa. Of course, that'll be playing along with the Thursday night Patriots Jets game. So if you're a Bostonian fan, busy night on the television for sure. So yeah, I mean, you've got Boston Bruins playing lights out, the Providence Bruins playing lights out, the Maine Mariners playing lights out. This is a really good season for your Boston Bruins organization. So love to see that. All right, guys, we're just going to take a real quick look around the NHL, just kind of take a quick peek at the standings here. Still some upside down type of things that we're not used to seeing. Teams like Florida and Toronto sitting, lower down in the standings. They're both at 17 points, sitting in 6th and 7th in the Atlantic. You look at the Metro, you got Washington sitting in 7th place at 17 points. The St. Louis Blues. This is one that kind of catches me off guard. A playoff team from a year ago, of course, Coach Montgomery out there, 6-8-3 for 15 points at a -18 in the goal differential for St. Louis. There's a lot more talent in that room than a 7th place team, sitting right there in front of Nashville, having another bad year. But St. Louis, you just have to start to wonder. You saw how poorly it fell apart here for Monty in Boston. And now, after basically one full calendar year of him being in St. Louis, they've gone from a playoff team a year ago to kind of a dumpster fire this year. We know Bennington's having a bad year. I have him on my fantasy hockey team, so we know the net hasn't been good. That's going to be part of it, but is there something more going on with Coach Montgomery? This is now the second time, a team has kind of fallen apart at his leadership. I guess we're going to wait and see. And for Nashville, sitting right behind them, 5-9-4 for 14 points. We know a year and a half ago, they made that big splash, brought in all those new free agents and really, got a lot older, but got a lot of veteran guys, a lot of cup-winning guys, and it's just not working. So worry about Brunette a little bit at the helm there. I don't know how much this is on him, but of course he's a former Portland Pirate. Won't be surprised if you see a coaching change there. I think that's one to be watching, and I do think you're going to start to see a fire sale. I think you have to. If you're Nashville, you have to punt on this. It's not working. Yes, you can go out and play competitive games, but it's just not working. You do have some of these guys are locked in, and they're locked in with no movement clauses. So it's not just a matter of making a trade. You have to find agreement for those guys to want to move on. And if you would think a guy like Stamkos, a guy like Marchand, a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, why would you want to stay there? Listen, Nashville's a great town. It's a great place to live. But do you really want to have these kind of later years play out like this where you're in 8th place and not playoff bound? Or do you want to go and try to play for a winner someplace? So I think that's something to just be watchful of. I do think you're going to see early movement. They've lost 5 in a row against sitting at 5-9-4. But some good stories around the league right now, guys. Anaheim Ducks, a team I talked about this summer as I think a rising team and a team that I think was playoff bound this year. 11-4-1, 23 points, leading the Pacific Division. Absolutely amazing. They did just have their 7-game winning streak snapped, but they've gone through some really good teams in this stretch and, playing some lights out hockey. Of course, you have Montreal in our division, of course, 10-4-2 for 22 points. The Canadiens, they've done this the right way. They've absolutely done it the right way. They've drafted well. They've developed well. They've held on to some of their key veterans. They're getting some good goaltending now. And they didn't make a coaching change a couple years ago when maybe St. Louis was a little bit on the hot seat. They've stuck with him. I go back to 2 years ago where, in talking about Montreal, it was a process of, okay, they have to learn how to play hard. So, okay, check. They did that a couple years ago. They started playing hard. They were losing a lot, but playing hard. We're a physical team, and hard out. Then last year, they were able to play hard, and then they learned how to win, made the playoffs. Now this year, can you play hard, learn how to win, and now learn how to win in the playoffs? That'll be the next step for this team. The way they're built, the way they've drafted, they're going to be good this year. They're going to be good for a long time. And I just hope that our Bruins can kind of stick with them, because wouldn't that be fun to have some Montreal Boston playoff matchups coming up? We've seen enough of Toronto in the playoffs. Some Montreal Boston rivalry stuff would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think the Canadiens are going to be good. They're going to be good for a long time. And yeah, I think it is kind of good for the NHL when they're relevant like they are again. But of course, we got the Colorado Avalanche. Despite the 5 overtime losses, they're 11-1-5, so kind of a weird number there. They are leading the league with 27 points, a plus 25 in the goal differential. They've won 4 in a row. They look like every bit a Stanley Cup contender. And of course, the 2 top dogs they have with McKinnon and Makar are just so much fun to watch. McKinnon, one of my absolute favorite players to watch in the league. He is just a freight train on skates, and just the competitive fire in him. I mean, you hear about stories with him in practice that he practices the way he plays. He's just always 1,000 miles an hour. And yeah, I just love that. Love that as a hockey fan. So yeah, there's a lot of good. There's obviously some not so good. You look at the Florida Panthers right now, of course, 2-time Cup winners here, 8-7-1 with the 17 points. We know that they are what they are. They've got those injuries with Barkov and Tkachuk. Tkachuk will be back. We know that. And it's really Brad Marchand, keeping them afloat right now. I'm just trying to pull up his line here. Where are you, Brad? There you are. Yeah, I mean, 11 goals, 7 assists, 18 points. I mean, where is this goal scoring coming from, guys? Like, we haven't seen him score like this in a few years. But yeah, it's really fallen on him to keep the ship floating there for the Panthers. So good on him. Still love him. I hate the uniform he's wearing, but I hate the sweater he's wearing, but I do love him. Certainly wish he was still here in Boston putting up those kind of points for us. But yeah, we'll see, if Florida can kind of survive this early season kind of malaise that they're in, see if they can get through these injuries. Because not just the 2 big boys we talked about. Yeah, Nosek is out. They've got a couple other names. I think Gadjevich is out. That's one other. They've got a slew of injuries right now that they're dealing with. So, yeah, again, good to see, Brad doing what he's doing at that age. And as much as, again, we may not like the uniform, still love the player. So, yeah, some upside down standing still, but it makes the league fun. There's parity this year. There's new teams rising up. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Well, guys, so coming up here on the channel, I'm taking some time to think about what I want to do here on this podcast. I do these weekly videos where, break down some minor league, Mariners action, talk about the Bruins a bit. But I've also had some really good success with some of these guests I've had on. I had Pat Kelleher from USA Hockey on. I had Evan Gold on from the Boston Bruins, and, other names as well. A lot of names here with the Maine Mariners I've had on over the course of time. Those videos tend to do pretty well. They definitely outperform my regular weekly stuff where just me here, talking hockey. But I want to ask you guys, what do you want to see on this channel in terms of guests, in terms of content? Because I'm not just doing this to hear myself talk. I can do that on my own. I want to have a channel that you guys are really going to watch and want to recommend to your friends, and want this to be able to grow. As I said, I've had really good luck with guests, and that's really a kind of a trend I want to continue on. I am working on a couple of names right now. One that will be a very recognizable name for any Boston Bruins Nesson fans out there. I got a couple other guys that a little longer term out, but that I'm working on. And I'm also going to start to reach out to some former NHL kind of retired players as well. Oftentimes those guys can be a great listen, have a ton of stories. And so I'm putting a small list together of guys I'm going to start to reach out to and see what we can get. But if there's any names of, former players, former coaches, or current players and coaches you want me to reach out to and try to get on the channel, leave those comments down below. Would love to hear from you guys. I want this to be, as I said, a channel that you guys want to listen to. You have a lot of choices out there. I'm a very, very small voice in a very, very small market. I totally get that. But I absolutely appreciate you guys and your support here, and want to be able to provide what you want to listen to. So with that said, thank you so much for watching and listening today. If you do like what you're hearing, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below. If you're already subscribing to my channel, thank you so much. Your support means a lot to me. If you're new to the channel, thank you for checking this out. Please feel free to subscribe if you are liking what you're hearing. And guys, until next time, be kind, show love, and God bless.